Hey, Amanda, Silke, thank you very much for taking this time for the interview. It's a pleasure for me to do this interview about your book, Women in Reiki. And when I got it in the mail, I looked at it and my first glance was here, not here, because I thought, yeah, that is a unique title. And then I enjoyed to read parts of the book. I must confess, I did not read 100%, but what I read was, I would say, unique, because usually Reiki books are about initiation, about symbols, how to treat someone with Reiki, what Usui and Hayashi did, and so on. But your book is something really exceptional. Would you like to talk a little bit about how you got this idea and what made you write a book like this the way you did?
Okay, so maybe I start, Amanda, because the initial idea came to me during a meditation. So this is why I took now the first word. And I was just sitting in silence, and suddenly I was thinking about the women who are practicing Reiki, And I started more from all the women we know in our lives. I mean, all of us probably know many, many women who practice Reiki. And suddenly I had this feeling, oh, maybe they are not visible enough, or maybe the voices of the experience that so many women practicing Reiki are having, maybe something should be done about this. Because I think many of, especially the female practitioners, they really love their Reiki practice. They do it in the family, they do it for friends. Maybe they're not even teaching, but they are really dedicating lots of their daily life to this. And so I thought, okay, this is also a big, important space in Reiki practice now, not only the most visible teachers who give large-scale courses, who write books, who are on the talks, on conferences. It's necessary to show this side of the Reiki practice also. So this was the first idea, and as it was about women, I thought it's not an idea to do it on my own, because I'm a woman, but only one, And so I asked Amanda right away, because we are friends, we share a Reiki practice for a long time, and I know she's good at writing also. And I thought it would be beautiful to do it together. And in fact, it came out a very beautiful experience that took us on a much longer journey than they had thought at the beginning.
Yeah. And, for me, when Silke approached me, there was no question, like it was a very big yes for my whole system. And at first, as Silke was saying, it began with this idea first of women and practitioners and showing showing the different ways that women are using Reiki, now, and from the women who are fitting it into their family lives and just doing for family and friends, to women who are, teaching and doing more and professionally, as it were. But what happened, of course, as with all projects, they organically grow and kind of show you where they want to go. And quite soon into it, we really had the sense of how, the roots are so important, in any kind of system. We all live in a world of systems, right, where everything is interconnected, and it's really important, the roots. And we have access to some amazing stories of women from the early days of Reiki who really carried the Reiki through some really difficult times. And not only were they using it in ways that we use it now, with the family, with the friends, with, other people they didn't know who were sick, and in the villages and things like this. So, there's not only that, but these women were really fundamental to the fact that Reiki was able to continue and come to where we're able to have access to it today. So, you can't ignore that, right? They're fundamental to the story to have its roots, and to appreciate the women whose shoulders we're standing on today, basically. And so they came in quite early to the project and had a presence.
Yeah, we really wanted to honor them also, no? Because I mean, about Hawayo Takata, nearly every Reiki practitioner knows her. Chiyoko Yamaguchi by now is quite well known also, no? And they have practiced for such a long time in comparison with Mikao Usui or Chuyo Hayashi, no? If you compare a few years with like 50 or 60 years, that's amazing, no? So we came to a conclusion that we wanted to talk about this, no, and get the awareness of people to this point, no, that women were not just, maybe it looks they are just doing it on their whatever scale, but it really has an effect in times, no, that it gets passed on and gives other persons the possibility to continue with this beautiful work. Yeah.
When people hear about women in Reiki, I guess that many of them firstly may think about Hawayo Takata, because as far as we know, she brought much of Reiki to the Western world. And what always fascinated me was her personal growth from a maid, from someone who worked in the sugarcane fields with a not much background of school. And she was growing up to someone who created an international fundamental for the whole Reiki movement. Do you think that by trying your best to make Reiki, I would say, shine and work, that this also mirrors to us when we do that?
Yeah, definitely. No, I think so. That for sure, the Reiki helps you once you're on the path. No, we have heard the stories from so many people who got just one treatment at some point, or I heard about it even, and then it keeps ringing until they start learning it and doing it. No, and I imagine Hawayo Takata like this. No, that just step by step she found her passion. She found that she loved that she was doing it, and for us, even if we concentrate mainly in the book on the traditional Japanese Reiki practice of people who stayed in Japan, no, but we wanted to absolutely include her because she's so fundamental also for our personal contact with Reiki of for probably most people in the world today, no? That she managed to keep going even in these really challenging times during World War II and afterwards, no? And she just kept doing, no? And for sure, I imagine it was hard for many times, no? And that she didn't have much support. She was very much on her own, no? But she just kept doing. And I mean, I really think that it was the Reiki from within that helped her also, no? To do this great job and to bring it to so many people and still inspiring people today, not to learn and to just do it.
Yeah, and you know, for me, I only learned Reiki in Japan through that tradition, and so I didn't have very much kind of knowledge about Hawayo Takata when we began the book, and so through the research and through, you know, we connected with Justin Stein, who helped us enormously. We're grateful to him. As well as Tadao Yamaguchi, but you know, he helped us enormously with Takata and that kind of part of the book. And for me, I really started to gain an important appreciation of Hawayo Takata and her role in Reiki. And also, again, you know, I think you see this through all the stories of the Japanese women that we talk about in the book. You see, you know, it's the story of everyone, right? Overcoming hardships and finding, you know, we come across, you know, hardships, challenges, traumas in our lives, and you know, for all of us, Reiki seems to come in and help in some way, you know, or in many ways, and you see this with Takata, of course, greatly. And so to have an appreciation of that for me is really important, I think, and I feel very glad that I've come to experience that.
I see. by doing such a great job, at least in my understanding, for Reiki, I guess the both of you have also got some lift by Reiki. So is there anything which has changed within yourself, with your attitude, during the process of writing this book, not only in the way of writing, but in your life? Did this change the way you perceive Reiki, you work with Reiki? Does this change your approach to relationships or something? Or was it more something like related just to the book?
Shall I go? Yes. That's the short answer. It changed a lot. It did change a lot, I think, for me. We were talking about this before, you know. The main thing is, I think it's quite hard for me to express one of the biggest changes, because it's a feeling, it's a sense, and you know, I know you talked about the lifting, but it feels more like a deepening to me. And so I feel like I've kind of, I don't know if my connection to Reiki has deepened, my appreciation of it, a feeling of it. So the feeling is very hard for me to give words to. But I would say, in addition to that, I have, and I continue on a journey with this, but of understanding more about, you know, Reiki is a healing modality, you know, and it is this miraculous energy, as the translation is, you know, mysterious, miraculous energy that fills the forest, you know, that comes from all. But really, you know, Reiki is the essence of everything. So while it is a healing modality, and we use it to help our bodies do what they already know how to do, and we help to enhance that, Reiki is also, you know, it's more than a healing modality. You know, it's not just therapy. And so this is where I think this ties in with something we were saying before, which I can't remember right now, but you know, it ties in a way that, you know, it's because it's the essence of life, it's more than, and therefore it can change us. That's what we were talking about. I remember now. Like, you know, it can change much of us, and we talk about it. You know, we have, you know, the Japanese talk about us having a tamashii, a soul, you know, that is branched off from the greater tamashii, and you know, Reiki is this flow of energy, you know, from greater tamashii to tamashii, right, from greater soul to our little piece of the branch of the soul, and so of course that changes your life, you know. So the practice of Reiki, the using it, not just going to a seminar, but the practice of it, the using it in your life, the deepening your connection to Reiki, deepens your connection with everything, you know, in the world, and with our connection. For me, a passion is, you know, our connection with nature, with the earth itself, which is so desperately needed right now, because we're so disconnected as a species. And so, you know, it's for Reiki has helped me to gain greater understanding of our deeper collaboration, if you like, with all of, you know, our this inextricable connection that we have with everything, you know. And it fascinates me. I'll just stop me if I'm going on too much. But it fascinates me, you know, we talk in the book about kami, you know, the gods that Japanese have an understanding of kami being in everything, you know, in of course in nature, and but also, you know, in this pen, you know, and in the fridge, and you know, there's a god in everything. And you see Japanese animation where you see all these little kami, you know, in the forest. Well, you know, those aren't just fun little ideas. It's real, you know. It's in everything. And so I think that's to begin to grasp that, and to begin, you can use Reiki to help you experience that. It's not just a thought, right? It's an experience.
Yeah, I also had the feeling that I wanted to give back something, no? Because really in my life and in my personal development, my path in life, I benefited so incredibly much from Reiki. Yeah, but I thought maybe it's not enough just to teach or just to be in touch with the persons around me. I really had the wish to reach further, no? And I mean, with a book, you reach persons, you will never have the chance to meet everybody, no? But they can read, and somehow I wanted to leave testimony, no? Because for many years, I mean, I worked with other authors, no, like Frank Hajarapeta also, or Tadao Yamaguchi. These are my Reiki teachers also, no. So for many years, I felt just happy with their books or supporting their books, but I would add everything in there. But at some point, they came with inner quest that I thought, no, there's maybe something more personal I have to give, or to let people know what Reiki practice means for me, no? And this is also what we try to do in the book. And so it was really, yeah, it's very nice when you feel that it's unique, no? Because I really think we try to do this, no? To really express what Reiki is for us, based on the tradition, based on everything we learned from our predecessors, from our teachers, no? But put through the lens of our personal experience, no? And yeah. And another point that I would like to add, what the book was really amazing for, was this feeling of support, no? And this is maybe what you were asking before, Walter, no? Is there Reiki shining through it, no? I really had the feeling that from the first idea until the final project, it was all like just yes, no? Like you said, Amanda, no? Everybody we approached and asked something, can you help? Can you do the calligraphy? Can you do the layout? Would you like to do an interview? We have some information? Or we had so many people just saying yes and supporting in a very enthusiastic way, no? And this, I think, is not only because of us, Amanda, and me personally, no, this is something bigger that wants to come through, no? And to feel this has been an amazing process, no? I mean, we even managed to contact the Usui Reiki Ryoho Gakkai, no? This was one of the most amazing moments for us, no? Because we talk about Kimiko Koyama, who was the president of the Usui Reiki Ryoho Gakkai, the first woman who had this position. And I mean, we know now that Japan, it's quite, it's not so common that a woman can be in the top position, no? And so we had the Gakkai, this lady, Koyama sensei. And as we were writing about her, we said, oh, we have pictures of everybody, pictures also because we wanted to have it more like central, more like a whole body experience, not just words, no? And so we tried on different ways to get a picture of her, no? And when we finally managed, again, we have to say thanks to Justin Stein for this, no? When we managed to get in touch with them, and the daughter of Koyama sensei gave us permission to use this picture, and she sent us a picture. No, it was just, we said, wow, that's amazing, no? But sometimes you really, if you really have like a wish that maybe it's not just yours, but a bigger wish, and you approach people with openness, that it can really work and flow back, no? And so really it's a big project of gratefulness to so many people who have helped us all along the way to make it possible. It's bigger than us, we have to say now, Amanda.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We were just the last vessel for it to come out, you know, but it's a long way and a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
For me, it's also a unique project because you write about people who dedicated their lives to Reiki, and you don't write, let's say, primarily about Reiki healing processes or something. You write about the people, I wouldn't say incorporate Reiki, but who accepted Reiki as a guiding principle, as something they dedicated their life for. Kimiko Koyama made history in a way, in my understanding, because she was, as you already stated, quite rightfully, the first female president of the Gakkai. So what do you think, how was this possible? Because, well, Japan is a male-dominated country.
I think because she was really particularly dedicated and loving the Reiki practice, obviously, no? But she kept going also in the hard times of the war and after the war, no? When the whole Reiki system was crumbling, the whole Japanese society was changing so much, no? And she was the one who kept going, and maybe in this moment it was even the only possibility for Reiki to have a woman in the top position, no? As all the historical problems with the nationalistic, materialistic, militaristic positions, the high Navy officials that had been in the Gakkai before, no? We don't know, but for sure it was her passion and her, that she really wanted to carry on, no? The same like Chiyoko Yamaguchi, the same like Hawayo Takata, she kept doing it. She had the meetings in her house, for what we know, for many years, and she kept going. No, it's really much about this this perseverance, no, to not stopping what you want to do. No, we have much of this in the book, and maybe I can add this. We thought that I think telling stories and listening to stories is something very deeply humane, no? Where we can connect in a different way from just reading like facts or just reading about techniques, no? And we, as we both love writing and literature, we thought we want to bring the two things together, no? We want to talk about Reiki practice, which we love, but we also want to reach people who may not reach like a book with Reiki techniques or whatever. So we really try to write in a way that hopefully is easy to access and entertaining, and it has this human side that you can understand maybe better why Hawayo Takata acted like she acted, or true for all the other women also. No, when you know the personal history, it's easier to put yourself in their shoes. No.
Yeah.
I think, you know, one of the stories that most affected me in terms of gaining kind of new appreciation and a kind of imagining it was me kind of thing was Chie Hayashi, actually. Again, like you were saying, Silke, you know, the resilience of these women is incredible, really. And so, you know, to have her story, you know, where your husband has sacrificed his life for Reiki, and then to take over his work in the wake of that, in a time where it was very dangerous, right? It wasn't well thought of by the government what he'd done, and so, you know, she really had a lot to deal with there, with her own grief plus the work, and on she went, and then the war happened, and you know, and just the little story of her sitting with Chiyo Sugano in front of the radio, listening to the emperor's address to the country, you know, stories like that, to me, there's so much in them in terms of being able to imagine yourself and relate to it in a new way, and see their lives, and I really enjoyed the fact that we decided to put those stories and then have, you know, bits of historical context in there as well. So we've got these kind of little historical references going through it as well, which for me was really important and helpful, and in getting more of a sense of the culture and the roots of how something grew and where, you know. But yeah, I mean, I like all the stories, but I was really affected by hers, I think, in terms of seeing more of her. Yeah.
So I guess storytelling is something which is really needed to help people to understand, not only with the mind, but also with the heart, the path of Reiki. And the both of you did that. And as much as I know about stories, it's always that there is a kind of red thread going through these different tales. Could you identify a red thread in the lives of the different women in your book? Was it something they have in common, you think?
I probably need to think more, but the first thing that springs up is resilience, is just this resilience, perseverance, and a love of Reiki, basically, you know, a love of people and Reiki, and a desire to just keep going and just step by step. I think that's that's what you see as well. There's no kind of big picture. There's no like, I am in it. There's no look at me, you know, look at what I'm doing, look at this power, you know, there's none of that. It's just people taking steps by steps to keep something alive that they love and appreciate. You know, I think
Yeah,
this
this was also, it was extremely inspiring for us also, no, when we were getting deeper into the stories and seeing all the things that happened, getting to know more about history, you know, the hardships, no, also the bombings in Tokyo, no, that they really didn't have even enough food, no, they lost everything. Also the story of Chiyoko Yamaguchi, who had gone with her husband to Manchuria and had to flee back to Japan with 2 little boys. No, it's really, I mean, we here in Germany, we have many of these stories also of people who had to flee. Now, even nowadays, unfortunately, there's so many people all around the world who have to flee. No, so it's really something, I think on a human level, it's easy to connect with that. No, and yeah, I would hope that it helps us now, because sometimes in between the Reiki lineages or different schools now, we are so much criticizing the one or the other, or saying, no, she had the teaching position, you didn't have whatever. Now there's so much talking or competition or whatever. And if we break it down to the human thing, I think we see what you said, Amanda. Now we see people who have their challenges, their hardships in life, and step by step they try to do their best to go to find their path in life, no? And Reiki is such a marvelous gift to help us on this journey through life, no? And I would really love people to concentrate more on this, no? To see the human being with all its problems, benefits, talents, and everybody, and then really appreciate and honor what everybody's doing his best probably in the moment, no? And we find lots of this in the stories of the women in our book. And I think everybody can connect to that now. Or it would be nice if they could do it.
Yeah, I guess it would be. And it's much needed, as you just mentioned, in these times. Do you see any lack of, let's say, female wisdom or female approach to doing things in today's Reiki community?
That's a hard one, no?
Yeah, I know. Because I was thinking, I'm thinking about this, you know, quite often, and I just want to hear your opinion about that. Not that we have a statement for everybody all around the world, just what you perceive.
I think more, for me, it's more about community, no? That I would really wish for more feeling of community, because in fact, if we look at the overall population, we're still unfortunately a minority of Reiki practitioners, no? And I really think it's kind of a waste of energy and everything to look onto the things that separate the different styles or practices, no? For me, it would be much needed to look at what we have in common. And as I said before, no, to really appreciate this day-to-day little steps that we are taking, that we can take for ourselves or support others with Reiki, no? But I don't know if this is especially female, no? That's always a big topic, no? What is the male, what is the female? So for me, it's easier to call it more community maybe than,
I think, yeah, I agree. And I think the different schools and the kind of focus on differences that you see, the focus on who's right and who's wrong that you tend to see is unnecessary and unhelpful, because, you know, I think diversity is important in everything, you know, and it's really okay that there are lots of different schools, you know, and so rather than deciding who's the best and who's right and all those kind of things, it's like, you know, it's about finding what you're drawn to and what feels right to you, and then to really deepen in that practice, you know. And so so for me, this is what the school that I'm in is what I was drawn to. It's what feels right. It has roots, because roots are really important to me in terms of feeling the grounded and the connected. You know, I think so much in our culture has been you know, uprooted and so for me this was very important, and so diversity is important, roots are important. When you find your thing, I think, you know, what I'm learning is it's more important to sit in your thing and allow the depth, allow yourself to sink into the depth, to get the experience and allow the depths of things to emerge, so that you can really experience a deeper connection, much more than looking over there and trying them all, or looking and deciding who's right and who's wrong, because, you know, everybody has different experience where they are. And yeah, so it's the deepening I would like to see happen in the future for all of us in things, that sitting, just stopping, you know, stopping trying to create more and do more and, you know, all of that, and just stop and allow the depth to emerge, you know.
That's an interesting point of view, I think. What could people who listen to this interview right now, what could they perceive, what could they identify by other people going into this depths? What is it, or is there something they could see, they could hear, they could be aware of when people go into that depth?
I think it's just a personal experience. And I think it's going by definition to be different for each person, right? It's their experience, it's what's needed. But I think for me, you gain what is needed within, so that you can then be of service, a greater service, I think, to the world and to the connections that need to happen through the depth. But I don't know how, you know, if you're asking what the depth looks like, I think it's different for everyone.
You see, as coming from a male point of view and trying to integrate the female point of view, as I guess is one of the things to achieve when we are in this world of duality, I heard often that in Reiki it's about the depth, it's about the spiritual development, and I try to identify this, because it's one thing to state that this is about spiritual development. It's another thing to help someone do that. And in my experience, it's important to get an idea, like Zen masters do, or like a yogi would do, that they tell you, you can feel this, you can perceive that, you will have these kind of dreams, or this kind of mood, and this kind of body sensation, and then you can look more into this or more into that. And that would help me personally, maybe it's just my issue, to get more clearly what this depth means in Reiki. I know what it means in Zen, I know what it means in yoga, I know what it means when it comes to shamanism, but with Reiki, I'm still on the path to explore that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I too am. The only thing I would say to that comes up is, you know, for me, because for me Reiki represents the essence of everything. It represents our, you know, it is our direct connection with the greater spirit, universe, soul, whatever you want to say. The depth is the depth within you. So you know, you've got a tradition of Zen, a tradition of shamanism, different things, but it's really because it's a depth within us in terms of our personal unique way of connecting. I think for me it's about organically allowing what needs and wants to emerge in your life, as in the way that it's done. Is it done? I mean, I think the body is huge in terms of our connection to the world. It's our gateway to so much. There's so much information
Oh, yeah.
through the body. I mean, it's the body.
Mm.
But for me, I like to organically allow stuff to come and just follow what appears, you know. But I know, Silke, when we were writing the book, I remember in your interview, you had a slightly different way of looking. You know, I'm very much about allowing what wants to organically emerge in terms of spirituality and not trying and just letting. And I remember you had something slightly different to say, no?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, Reiki, I mean, you talked about the Ichi-rei right in the beginning, no? But in the Japanese conception, we are all branches of the same common soul of the world, no? And this means we are one, basically, but is on the core of many spiritual traditions, no? And for me, this is very important in Reiki also what in my understanding, happened to Mikao Usui, or what he happens to pass on for the Reiju, the ritual we are doing in our seminars, no? But this gives you kind of a glimpse, an impression of this oneness. And so this is one of the answers I would give to your question, probably, Walter, that we have it in each Reiki session, but especially maybe in the Reiju ritual, no? Where we have the chance to get a really experiences how it feels when we forget our separateness and we feel more strongly our connectedness with everything. And what I have seen in myself and keep seeing in people who giving lots of space to Reiki practice in their lives is that this perception of being one with everything gradually gets stronger and stronger. It gets kind of a prevalence of how you are in life, how you perceive yourself. And if you I can say for me, and I think I see it in others also, if I feel more connected with everything and everybody, this changes my way of how I behave, how I'm being in the world, because it makes absolutely no sense to do harm to anybody if it's just part of me, or I'm also this person, his experience is also my experience, no? And for me, is this kind of the core of experience of being one with the whole creation, is what is very strongly present in Reiki also. And even in each session, no, when we put our hands, and sometimes this feeling that there's no boundary anymore between what is the other person or what am I, or I can feel, yeah, it's kind of, it's very close to an experience that it's not so much like on the mental, cognitive level. It's more like a whole body experience, but also deeper, no? I mean, I think we all agree, but it's not only the body who we touch when we touch the body in the Reiki treatment, no? It's really going to deeper levels. And this is what keeps amazing me also, no? I mean, now more than 20 years of practicing Reiki, it's still exciting, and still after each treatment, I thought, oh, what was this, no? And we saw this in Chiyoko Yamaguchi also, that even after 65 years, she still had the same thing, no? Just saying, oh, what will happen today? What can I feel? How will the person change? Or this way, how the face changes of people, no? Before and after the treatment, no? When you see really there are layers, deep layers that have been touched, and that something gets liberated, no? And for me, that's this core of oneness that calls to the practice, no? Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. You talked about the roots and that they often are missing today, which I absolutely understand. And I think that your book, Women in Reiki, restores some of these roots and some of the strongest roots, which the Usui-based Reiki system has. I think that by reading this, people can get a better understanding of the breadth and depths of Reiki lives. And I wondered when reading this book, how many, let's say, strong people do we have today who live Reiki lives like Shoko Yamaguchi did or Hawayo Takada did? There must be several, but I just thought about that and I didn't really come to a conclusion. And I hope that this book will encourage people to follow the footsteps of these women. This woman, she was, in my understanding, quite impressive because she carried Reiki through the Second World War and the time afterwards. Of course, Hawaii Tokata did the same, but doing this in Japan must have been even more challenging. Could you tell a little bit about these challenges Chie Hayashi met in these times?
Well, obviously it's hard to say exactly, right? We weren't there.
Sure.
But from what we see, I mean, the government were, you know, cracking down on a lot of things. So you know, her husband refused to go to the war. He refused to help, and so, you know, that would have been such a huge thing. You know, she would have been really facing discrimination and possible, you know, I don't know to what extent she was being monitored. But I know that, you know, the understanding is that the other male members of the Hayashi Reiki Institute at the time couldn't take over because they would have been being monitored, you know, and wouldn't be able to engage in those activities. And so I would imagine it must be, and I think it must feel quite isolating, you know, and what a responsibility to suddenly be, you know, you've got, what was it, 5,000 students, something like this, and you're now, you know, the guardian is perhaps the wrong word, but you're, you know, representing them, you're helping them, you're the support, you're the main kind of stay of this, and again, you know, the challenge was she continued to go visit all those branches of the Hayashi Reiki Institute. She continued to support them by just taking little steps, like we said. You know?
And even to survive, because her husband he was working as a doctor, no? I guess he was the main income they had, no? And this was cracking down when he was not there, no? And we also heard that her son was not so happy with the whole development because he blamed it on Reiki that he lost his father, no? So she even had this this hardships within her family, probably. And then after bombings in Tokyo, probably her house was destroyed. No, we didn't find exact information about that, but it's the most probably that she lost her home or part of her home. No? And she went to Daishoji to live at the house of Chieso Gano for some time. No? And still she was carrying on. No? And this that was one very nice moment when also through Justin Stein again, we got in contact with a man in Hawaii who's now in his 80s probably, and he had learned with Chie Hayashi in the years after the war. I don't remember if it was 48 or 49, quite soon after World War II. And he had traveled with his family to Tokyo, and they went to her home. No, it was just a private home, and had the class just he and I think his father and his brother also, no? So it was really not a big institute anymore, no? But she was still doing it and teaching and encouraging people to keep doing it, no? That I think is really beautiful to know, no? That adapting to the circumstances and just do the best you can in this moment.
And that lying low from the authorities and just doing it herself, like you say, just one-to-one. And yeah. And, you know, that I think that's another important point you made there, Silke, because, you know, women, it was very difficult for women to earn money. Like they had, when Chiyoko Yamaguchi's father died, the mother had no way of supporting her children. She had to share them out in the family, you know, because there was no way to support them. So this must have been really hard for Chie too, right? Yeah.
I understand that these times in Japan were so challenging, especially for women, without much support. When reading your book about the women in Reiki, I just thought about the goddesses in Reiki. At least we have Okami of Japan, and we have Kanon, and these are quite strong deities in their own right, even coming from different spiritual traditions. But do you think that Usui had some idea why especially he was inviting these kind of spiritual female beings into the system he was passing on to others?
Well, as far as I understand, he was really clever in combining different elements into his system, no? From Shintoism, from Buddhism, also from Taoism. So maybe this was, I don't know, it might have been just one way of expressing oneness again, no? To take from different ways or different spiritual schools. And I think that especially Kanon, Senju Kanon, that is important for Reiki in the traditional Japanese understanding, that she's really a very popular figure, well-loved figure, because as the representation of compassion, it's a little bit like in our culture, maybe it would have been the Virgin Mary in older times, no? Somebody where you have also this motherly side or this all-loving side that it's really easy to connect to for everybody, no? So yeah, I think it was really, yeah, it was a clever move, but I think it was also a true move because it's about compassion, no? I mean, what I tried to express before, no? Once you feel the oneness of everything, you feel with everything and you are compassionate with everything, no? And this is really very much expressed for a figure like Kanon, no?
And
Yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
go on.
What are your thoughts about Amaterasu?
Well, you know, I was actually just going to talk a little bit about, you know, when I wrote the end of the book, when we wrote in the appendix about the history of women in Japan, you know, this was fascinating to me in terms of a greater understanding of the origins in Japan, you know, kind of from 15,000 BC onwards, and how, you know, the shamans were always female. You know, the women who could connect with the divine were in those days always female, and therefore then as things came, they were tended to be clan leaders as well, because they had this divine guidance and connection. And Amaterasu is part of this understanding of these, you know, the divine coming easily through the female side of things, and whether that represents actual women or whether that represents the female aspects of life, I don't know, and it doesn't matter, I don't think, but it was really fascinating to learn that, and I really enjoyed getting a little more depth in terms of understanding that kind of line of history and how things came, you know, through the female, where females were really revered, and then of course, as has happened in history all over the world, the kind of male came in more and began to use power over more than you know, power with, and you see that in history everywhere. But I think this is where Senju Kanon and Amaterasu and all those Amida Buddha, all those kind of goddesses, if you like. I mean, I'm not sure that Amida Buddha and Senju Kannon were always female. I think at one point they were considered not to be, but it's the energy. It's not whether they're male or female. The energy of it is this wonderful mother-like energy of compassion and you know, deep unconditional love. And I think this is the essence of everything again, but it's so important in Reiki. And you know, Chiyoko Yamaguchi always used to talk about, you know, just you put your hands on, it's so simple, right? You put your hands on and you feel the love of a mother for this person. You want them to have the best and to whatever their healing means for them, that's what you want, you know?
I thought about this interesting situation that the Tokure symbol is considered the power symbol. And in fact, it's a symbol from Amaterasu. So offering us Reiki if we want it, which is for me quite different quality than power, which is more like offensive, like active. And so I thought maybe that this female understanding of how Reiki energy can work for us is a little bit out of fashion. That it's more like achieve that goal instead of I'm opening up to the energy and see what will then unfold.
I think this is part of also a cultural misunderstanding, no, or something that has really been lost probably in the transfer from Japan to our Western countries, no, because here we have such a different approach to life, or that's more on the individual side and personal achievements and being stronger, getting more energy, no, and for as far as I understand the Japanese tradition, this it just doesn't exist, no, it's more that, well, you connect to Reiki and then you let it happen, no, and the most important thing is this, that you do the connection, no, and not if you say prayers or if you concentrate very hard or if you do like 10 extra symbols, it doesn't matter at all, no, it's just it's enough to be connected to that and to entrust yourself to this energy, no. And yeah, I don't know, maybe this is a more female way, but I think there's also this strong cultural component, no, that Japan, like a community-oriented society, and also probably it has to do also with the conception of reincarnation, no, that for them this life is not the only round we have. You come back anyway, so you have another chance to go on, no. I think this changes a lot the perception of what you think you need to achieve in this life, no.
Definitely.
There are many dimensions in it.
I've heard that Shie Hayashi and Hawayo Takata met several times in the 50s, and I guess the last time in the beginning of the 60s. I think that the connection of these two women was something very special. Also because they came from very different backgrounds. Would you like to tell a little bit about that?
I think we don't have too much information on that. I mean, we know from a visit, I think it was 1954, that Hawayo Takata was the first time she was able to go back to Japan after World War II. And we know from letters from her that when she met Chie Hayashi. But I personally don't know if in later journeys she met again with Chie Hayashi. We know they had a correspondence. We saw at least one letter they exchanged. But this would really be a question for the experts about Hawayo Takata, no? Or maybe now with Justin's new book, maybe he has some information about that. Or if one would be able to study the Takata archives in Santa Monica or Santa Barbara, where is it? There's a university library in California who has all her papers, no? It would be good to go there to do deeper research. Yeah, to know more. Or do you know anything more, Amanda? Something?
No. I was due to go to Santa Barbara, wasn't I, to the
yes.
other archives, and COVID happened, so it didn't happen. But Yeah, just I would say the same thing, you know. I mean, I was touched by their connection through the letters, you know. Obviously there was a deep respect for each other, which was nice to see, but that's all I know as well, is those letters that we saw.
So what I know from Takata's story, when she studied Reiki with Hayashi, she was a kind of in-house student, which means living with a family and being accepted as, let's say, a kind of family member. And so I think it is quite probable that the two women had a deeper connection.
Yeah, we also know that the daughters became friends, Julia Takata, and yeah, we have a beautiful picture in the book of the two of them in Japan in kimonos, no? But I also don't know if Julia Takata kept in touch with Kiyo Hayashi afterwards. Yeah, in fact, it would be nice to know so much more things, no? I mean, once you start looking for information, no, I would love to know more about that, definitely, yes.
Yeah, that is what we found in the book as well, isn't it? Like, the deeper you go into stories, of course, the more questions you have.
Yes, of course, always.
Yeah.
One question which came to my mind when reading this book is, what do you think this book will start in the Reiki community? And what do you hope it would start or activate?
Well, I think to start with is what we've touched on. You know, I hope it connects people to the roots of where it came from, and exactly whose shoulders they are standing on. I think an appreciation for that is wonderful. So I hope it does that. I hope the stories of the women from today, I hope that encourages people, and that they get to see that, you know, this is just it's a small glimpse, right? There's, I think, 9 interviews, so 9 women. You imagine how many women are doing Reiki today.
Well,
yeah. So,
some more.
But through these kind of 9 stories, you know, hopefully everybody sees a piece of themselves and gets. My wish for it is that everybody who reads it just gets something that helps them in some way. Whether that's helping them in their practice, whether it's an encouragement, an inspiration, whether it's the depth of the roots, whatever it is, you know, I really hope that everybody just gets something, whatever they need in that moment, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's nice if the readers would get this feeling, well, I can do something, no, just by starting, and even if it seems so little in the beginning, that it's worth doing it, no, because everything starts with one first idea, one first step. And yeah, I would be very happy if people see this. And then the other thing maybe is, yeah, that dedication and doing something with all your being, not all your love, that it can bring a beautiful result, no? That can be bigger than your initial idea, no? I think this is what we saw with the book, no? You mentioned the calligraphy on the cover in the beginning, no? That we knew this marvelous Reiki friend, Ari, who's a calligrapher also, and she really, she worked so hard on us. We had so many designs, we were trying things, how can we do it, until we came to this one that we all agreed to, no?
It's a beauty. Yeah. I just think people need to. It looks marvelous.
Yeah, and so that it's really not about the quick solution or what can I reach now or what is the best way to present me. If you're really very earnestly looking for what is the way how we can express it, if you discuss it with people you appreciate, like Amanda, me, or the other people who worked with us, no, and then you can really see what is true, no, and that's such a happy feeling if you get to this point to say, well, this is the best we could do, and we really feel this is true, this is what we wanted to say. Yeah, and that's, I wish everybody to have this feeling at some point in his or her life, no, not for everybody, maybe it's writing a book, no, but I think you can have this feeling in many different areas, no, but to see that it's really worth to put your whole self in what you're doing.
Yeah, the rewards are so great.
Yeah, I think the both of you did tremendous work, and I wish you the very best. And I hope that it will be published very soon as audiobook and ebook. I know that many of my friends in the Reiki community, they always ask for audiobooks because they say, I don't have the time to read this, but I would like to, you know. So one can hope, one can hope. So thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us and the inspiring questions also. It was a pleasure to talk to you and for the space. Yeah.
I wish you the best for your book and for your lives and for your work with Reiki, and hope to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, Walter.
Bye.